Before we begin today, a brief content warning. Today we're going to be talking about the Season 11 episode Nothing Lasts Forever, which is a lot more gory and bloody than the typical X-Files episode. Listener discretion is advised.
Hello and welcome to Things Getting Strange, an X-Files Rewatch podcast. I'm Nick.
And I'm Kim.
And we're at the end.
We did it!
Yay! And the X-Files is just basically dead at this point.
I'm pretty sure it ended at the lost heart of Forehead Sweat. I thought we were in agreement about that.
Oh, true. But I meant in terms of new stuff.
Oh, yeah. It feels a bit now. Well, I'm not going to say forever, but that the revival series just isn't happening, is it?
It doesn't seem like it. I did have a look on Wikipedia before, and the last thing apparently is Chris Carter is not involved at all, which I think we knew anyway. But
yeah, it was going to be Ryan Coogler or whatever he's called, isn't it?
It was. But I suppose we'll get into that when we get to the wrap-up episode.
Hooray!
So, without further ado, let's talk about gore!
Yay, gore!
Well, I mean, sometimes gore can be good, like Evil Dead 2, I think, is pretty good use of gore.
I'll always put my vote in with Brain Dead.
Yeah, that too. Brain Dead. From the director of Lord of the Rings. And it took me so long to get you to watch it as well.
Yeah, well, it's zombies.
I know, but it's like the lawnmower. It's like, once you get to the lawnmower, it's like you sort of say, why have I not watched this film before?
Yeah.
And The Irish Priest.
Yes.
It was a fantastic guy. Okay, anyway, right. Nothing Lasts Forever, directed by James Wong, written by Karen Nielsen, and first broadcast on the 14th of March 2018. The only guests are of note, because I actually went through and looked at the rest of them, and they don't have Wikipedia entries, which was kind of bizarre, really.
Okay, not even the person with the amazing surname.
Who was the person with the amazing surname?
I don't remember her name, but I'm pretty sure her surname was Vroom.
Oh, yes, yeah, she doesn't.
Oh, really?
I put it into Wikipedia and decided, nope, there's no page from her.
Oh, what a shame.
Yeah, it's Julia Vroom or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, Wikipedia doesn't really have anything to say about her. But we do have Jerry Burns, who was Dr. Randolph Levenis.
Okay.
Who was the one I think you said you recognised.
Yeah, I thought I did.
And you probably have.
Okay.
In somewhere where you'd think and places where you wouldn't.
Okay.
So, he was in Incredibles 2.
The Incredibles, the Disney movie.
Yeah, the Disney film. He was a detective, so he's not on
Oh,
gig.
okay.
4 episodes of Max Headroom.
Fair enough.
But the one you're thinking of, probably, is Breaking Bad.
Probably. Who was he?
He was lead of a Narcotics Anonymous group, which Jesse was at.
Yes, I remember.
So, throw a rock, there's at least 2 of them, though I think it's probably the season 3 one when after the plane crash.
Yeah, I can picture it. So, do you have a synopsis for this one?
I do. At a makeshift operating theatre in the Bronx, 2 surgeons harvest a man of his organs, killing him in the process. The operation is interrupted by Juliet, a young woman who kills the surgeons by driving metal spikes through their chests. She secures most of the organs and delivers them to a nearby hospital with the message, "I will repay." Mulder and Scully are drawn into the case because evidence suggests a ritual killing. The police believe the murders are related to an organ theft ring, pointing out that one of the surgeons had his medical license revoked and was an associate of the Russian mafia. Meeting at a church, the agents debate the nature of faith. Scully confirms that all legal organ donations have been accounted for, while Mulder has found no trace of illegal sales on the dark web. Mulder links the killer's message to a psalm about God's vengeance and notices that iron bars matching the murder weapon's distinctive shape have been removed from the church fence. Because of this, he believes that the murders are driven by a divine wrath instead of demonic worship. A conversation with a priest leads them to Juliet, who tells Mulder and Scully that her sister Olivia joined a cult. Meanwhile, the missing organs are taken to the home of a reclusive TV star Barbara Beaumont and her partner Randolph Levenis. Beaumont has formed a cult, Randy Organ Harvesters, which consumes human organs to offset the aging process. Despite being 85, Beaumont appears to be 30. The effects are temporary, leading Levenis to surgically conjoin himself to others, parasitically feeding off them to reverse his age. They have been feeding organs to their followers and plan to conjoin them to Barbara in the hopes of giving her eternal youth. However, the stolen organs are not enough to feed the cult. As Levenis leaves to steal the remaining organs from the hospital, a cult member offers himself as a sacrifice to sustain the others. After he stabs himself, he is eaten alive. Mulder and Scully arrange for a tracking device to be placed in a heart for Levenis to retrieve, then follow the signal to Beaumont's house. Levenus suffering accelerated aging without a host undergoes surgery to attach himself to Olivia. Once inside the house, the agents are overpowered by Beaumont's followers, who throw Scully down an elevator shaft. Maude is rescued by Juliet, who kills Beaumont with a metal stake to the chest. Her death disheartens her followers, allowing Maude to escape. As he tries to locate Scully in the basement, he is confronted by Levenus, who has the appearance and strength of a much younger man after being conjoined to Olivia. Levenus boasts to Mulder that he has cured aging. Olivia proclaims her faith in Levenus' methods, but she seizes it, and when Mulder demands that she be taken to hospital, Levenus threatens to cut her throat. Juliet catches up with them and kills Levenus. She then surrenders to Mulder. Scully is found safe, cushioned by trash bags thrown away by the cult. In the aftermath, Olivia is shown safe at home with her mother. Mulder acknowledges the power of faith, suggesting that his atheism is because he does not need faith rather than because of a lack of it.
Thank you.
I was going to start off with, I don't like this episode. And I'd forgotten it even existed.
Yes, you had.
I had. But I was thinking in terms of people helping others in the industry. So you've seen it happen a few times. There's the thing where a director you really like Sam Raimi before he did Doctor Strange 2, or Guillermo del Toro, and there's a whole load of other ones, basically, or Jordan Peele. So it's basically, they won't direct a film, they'll say, I'm producing a film directed by this new guy, who you've never heard of.
Yeah, Shyamalan does it an awful lot as well.
Yeah. And I'm kind of torn because I can see both perspectives of it. From the director's perspective, it's I have all this clout and money and fame and everything, and I can basically do what I want. I'm going to get other people up onto my level. Given them an opportunity they probably wouldn't get otherwise.
I'm putting my name to it as a thing that will make people watch something they otherwise might not.
Exactly. And that's really good. From a fan perspective, though, you don't want to watch random guy that Jordan Peele has picked out. You want to watch Jordan Peele's next film. It can turn out to be good, but that's not. But your thought, though, is you want to see what they're doing, not what the person they want to succeed is doing. Okay.
No, I would disagree.
You disagree, okay.
I'm a huge fan of Jordan Peele. If he was willing to put his name to something, I would give it benefit of the doubt. I disagree with you on that one.
Fair enough. Sam Raimi, then, maybe.
I have less love for Sam Raimi. But in part, it's because Jordan Peele has never made a movie I didn't enjoy.
Fair enough.
Sam Raimi has.
Yes. But remember, there was like a period where it was like Sam Raimi was producing a whole lot of different films, and it's like, can't we see what you're going to do? Like, we want to see your next kind of Evil Dead kind of thing.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
Yeah.
But...
So what I was going around to is that I didn't really like the Unpronounceable episode. And I didn't really like the hell followed that one. Familiar. And I don't really like this episode. And they're all newcomers, basically they're writers or people who haven't written much or anything being given an opportunity. And it's nice for them because this is like a big prestigious thing to get. At the same time, we don't really want to watch the new experimental episodes. We want to watch the old guard do their thing one final time.
Yeah, okay.
Is what I'm getting at. So it's nice that the writer got an opportunity to do this. I don't think it was a good episode, and I think it's really bad for penultimate episode.
I would agree that its placing is wrong in the series, but I think you've ignored the fact that this is only the barest grassroots of this writer's original idea.
Yes,
that was
that too.
entirely altered by Morgan Wong.
Yeah, we should get into that as well, is because I was also going to say it's the original thing I was going to start with is there's some really great moments in this episode. They just don't involve the cult, and yeah, they don't involve the weird cult.
No, agreed.
It's all the Mulder and Scully stuff about their relationship, power of faith and everything. That's really good. I am a little bit weirded out by the drawing attention to Mulder wearing glasses.
When he's pretty much always worn glasses.
Yeah, it's like even in season 1 he wears glasses.
I guess previously he wore reading glasses and now it sounds like he's having to wear bifocals, so it is the eye's aging.
Yeah, but I do wonder though if anyone remembers that Mulder used to wear glasses, and Scully used to wear glasses.
Yeah, true.
But anyway, the genesis of the episode.
So the original idea behind the episode is much like you just pointed out your favourite parts. is the writer, who I'm afraid I've forgotten her name.
She is Karen Nielsen.
Karen Nielsen's original idea was she wanted to explore Scully's faith because she felt with all the stuff that had been going on with William, this was the time that Scully would turn back to her Catholic roots. And the writer said she had a similar relationship where she was an atheist and her sister was very Catholic. So she had this kind of in-house experience of these kind of relationships and conflicts of faith, let's say, in the same way Mulder and Scully would. And then Glenn Morgan said, let's frame it around a cult.
Yeah, and why?
But the scenes in which Scully talks about her faith are completely disconnected from the cult bits. She doesn't explore her faith after discovering the beliefs of the crazy cult.
Yeah.
It's a completely, isolated part of the story.
Yeah, and I think that's also a nuisance thing, is that basically they tumble into their lead because Scully happens to go to the same church that Julia goes to.
Yes.
And that's not good.
So this is why I would counter your argument of we don't want to see newcomers, we want to see the old guard, because the old guard are what added the things you don't like into this episode.
This is also true, so I will also accept that as a criticism. Because what are you playing at, Morgan? Why must you do this to us? And then leading on from that, though, I think the problem is that even the fact that you shouldn't have a mad cult in this episode, what on earth is our vigilante doing?
I saw a rather astute criticism of this episode on Reddit that pointed out it's much like when we talked about the unpronounceable episode last time. We said it wouldn't have seemed out of place in Black Mirror.
Yeah.
People have compared this episode to both Buffy the Vampire Slayer and American Horror Story.
Yes.
Which I can totally see as our vampire slaying protagonist is very Buffy-esque, even though we don't really focus on her. And the level of gore, gratuity, and just grotesqueness wouldn't seem out of place in American Horror Story.
Absolutely. I would completely agree with that one. And I also fasten on to, and the episode really doesn't grapple with it, of Mulder brings up the fact that if this was a genuine vampire killing, you'd have a stake of a certain combination of woods that are canonical vampire slaying stuff.
Yeah, it's something that's often lost with people just, Buffy ripping off a gatepost to do this, but in traditional vampire lore, they're usually made out of really specific trees in the language of plants that have meaning.
Yeah, and that's fine. And the episode, though, does swerve towards the other thing, though, which is cold iron, which is the traditional...
Fairies
and supernatural stuff cannot cope with cold iron.
No.
I remember it is On Stranger Tides, the novel that inspired Monkey Island and Pirates of the Caribbean, has a lot of stuff about cold iron being used as a detrimental thing to all the magic.
You see it frequently in, any paranormal romance that focuses on, the Unsullied Court or something like that.
Yeah. And I like it. It's a great, cool, weird lore thing that they just can't cope with works metal like that. That's neat.
And it makes sense when you think of it in a religious stance, is that these fairy stories tend to come from the British Isles, where there are many, many churches surrounded by big iron fences like we see in this.
Yeah.
So, you've got that idea of the boundary they can't cross.
Exactly. Where the episode loses me, though, is I don't know why she thinks they're vampires to the extent that she's hammering these gateposts into people's chests.
They're more cannibals.
Yeah, it's if she genuinely thought they were vampires, or if they were genuinely vampires, yes, do the cold iron thing and hammer it into their chest like that. That's fantastic. Why do you think they're vampires? Because nothing in this episode leads you to believe they're vampires.
No.
They just drink gore slushies.
I guess your only thing is that their appetite is keeping them eternally young. However, it's not even the bad blood style, the fake teeth and the actual drinking of blood. They are literally black market organ transplants that they are putting into a blender and making these absolutely horrendous looking smoothies. I saw so many people complaining on Reddit that they'd started watching this as normal while eating tea and been completely put off their food. I can't get across. If you're not a fan of gore, just be prepared for this episode. It's very, very unpleasant. Yeah,
it's just needlessly grotesque. But it's not like the X-Files hasn't done vampires. As you said, Bad Blood exists. 3 exists, and both of those presented vampires.
You've also had all the ones that I used to argue were technically vampire stories, like Tombs.
Yeah, and Touchai.
And Teleco.
Yeah.
They're kind of the vampire with a twist one, where he's killing a person and taking X from their body. It's not necessarily blood, it might be livers or fat or something else.
Yeah.
But it's still technically a vampire story.
Exactly. And so it's the vampire thing feels like you had the original idea, which was great, the spiritual stuff, and you added the crazy cult, and then they realized they were missing like 10 minutes. So it's like, okay, we need a big dramatic opening. What if really cool badass woman breaks in and nails one of these people to the floor with a gatepost? And apparently that was the end of the thought process.
With a really, really lame religious quote tagged to it.
So that was also where I sort of lost a lot of faith very quickly. It's I get the charitable thing of taking the organs to the hospital, but you, me, and everyone else would say no hospital in the world is going to touch these things, and they don't. And to be fair, in the episode,
no, you see it often, even if you don't know anything about medicine, in like hospital procedurals. The fact that organs have a really, really small shelf life.
Yes.
And so step one is the doctors have no idea where these organs have come from and if they're safe to you.
Yep.
And two, you've maybe got 6 hours, 12 hours in which you can actually safely transplant these.
Yeah. That's why they're all packed in ice and everything. He's got to do it fast.
Yeah.
So it's I get her, Good Samaritan thing of taking it to the hospital. At the same time, just incinerate the things.
The only reason the hospital doesn't, I presume, is that it exposits later that Scully convinced them to make them really theft attractive so they could track the thieves when they came back for them.
Yeah, although it did feel a lot like that was just desperate bridging between the two cuts of
because
the
they
ad
couldn't
break.
think of a way.
They couldn't think how to get them into the apartment block otherwise, given that none of the leads were actually flowing together at all.
No. And the whole plot with the kind of live transfusions is just, I think, again, gratuitous for the sake of being gratuitous.
My wild theory I've just thought of is they watched the Human Centipede and worked backwards to what can we get on TV. Is the best I can go for that one.
Yeah. The Human Centipede really needs no explanation. If you've never heard of it, don't Google it.
No, you're better off not knowing, but...
I watched it as part of a day, the first one.
Yes, I
anyway,
remember.
That me and a group of friends challenged each other to see it. It's, in parts, it's not as bad as you're expecting, but at the same time, I never want to see it ever again.
Exactly. But I do wonder if it's like that we want to get that grotesquerie and we want to get as close as possible. And that's still insane because the core of your episode is this really heartfelt stuff with Mulder and Scully. This shouldn't be in here. Why is it here?
I'd say it takes the shine because the actual character study between Mulder and Scully is very sweet. It's very well written. I think as a fan, if I was really invested in shipping and stuff like that, that's the kind of thing I'd want.
Yeah.
And then you're juxtaposing it, if that's the right word, with these sequences of a man who's stitching himself to young women in order to stay eternally young.
Yep. And also there's some problems with the editing as well and just the casting because you were absolutely flummoxed at one point why the vampire hunter was in the apartment joined in with the cult and I had to say, no, that's sister.
I suppose it's good casting that they look enough alike that I couldn't tell them apart.
But the way they cut it, though, it did seem to be a completely different setting where she was versus where the rest of them were.
The way the scene was cut, it looked like the vampire hunter was the one making the gore smoothie.
Yeah, and that's really not good.
Mm.
And one thing I would say as well, though, is that in any prior X-Files episode that wasn't meant to be about Mulder and Scully's relationship, you would have actually done more focus on the vampire hunter and I don't know, I'd like an explanation for, again, why she thought she had to nail these people with iron stakes and not just killing them normally.
In a way, she is very similar to the main NPC in 3.
Yes.
Who, admittedly, she herself is a vampire in that one, but she's trying to slay the other nastier vampires.
Yeah. And she's doing the deep cut vampire lore stuff, isn't she? She's doing some weird things.
She's got things like the blood bread.
Yeah, it's like stuff you don't find normally coming up in things.
Yeah.
And that, as much as 3 is not a good episode either, at least there's something to that.
You've got this sense of a mythology there.
Yeah. And also, though, it's not bloods onto things, and also the vampires are actual vampires, or people who operate as vampires. I mean, the guy set on fire in the sun, you can't get more vampire than that, really.
It's a very extreme allergy.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I can't remember what the excuse they came up with for that was. There was some justification for
Yeah,
why
there
it wasn't
was.
vampirism. It's like, what? I did have a moment of, just complete brain stall where I said, is Barbara Beaumont real? It's like, because for some reason I thought this sitcom actor, well, no, my reason for it is she references that she was on a very specific episode of the Sonny and Cher show.
Yeah.
Which I haven't actually looked up, but I could guess that actually the date she quotes, it wasn't on that week for some reason in the real world.
Yeah.
In the fictitious universe, yeah, she was on that episode of Sonny and Cher. It's just one of these whole, when you integrate someone into the world like that and being on Dragnet and things, to then sort of say they're entirely fictitious feels odd. And I was wondering, it's like, what did the real Barbara Beaumont think of her portrayal? Is she already dead and they could just say this stuff? Wait, of course she's not real. But
No. It's not like when we did Sunshine Days and we could actually talk about Cousin Oliver.
yeah, although they also sort of did it smartly because he's not Cousin Oliver. He's just he has Cousin Oliver's name.
He associates with him.
Yeah, but he's also taken his name, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Or the actor. Is it the actor's name he's taken?
No, he's taken the character's
He's
name.
taken the character name, yeah. But that all made sense.
Hmm.
And that's one thing I was going to come around to as well, is like reflecting on the penultimate episodes of other X-Files. So like season 1, I can't remember what the penultimate episode was. I don't think it was a particularly important one.
Okay, one was Roland.
Yeah, so the X-Files is kind of still proving itself. I think they knew they had a second season by this point, despite how the Erlenmeyer Flask is written.
Roland's a sound episode, but it's totally unconnected.
But then the conspiracy wasn't an animating force in the X-Files. You had a sense that something was bubbling under the surface, but all we had was that Cancerman showed up in the first episode and the last episode at that point. That's all we had. So Roland, the X-Files was very anthology at that point, very Outer Limits, very Twilight Zone. It didn't have anything going for it.
True.
Fast forward though through to, I don't know, what was the penultimate one of season 7?
Season 7 was Je suis.
Je suis.
Yeah, I take Je suis. It's a comedy episode, admittedly, but it also has a lot of nice character moments, and indeed ends on a really nice character moment with Mulder and Scully just enjoying each other's company.
That's true, and it's because they knew already that Duchovny was leaving to whatever capacity Duchovny was leaving, so it's to give the fans the fill before we pull the trigger on Requiem. So yeah, that makes sense. And season 9's the one though that I can't really get away from because Sunshine Days is Vince Gilligan saying, "I'm leaving. Here is the best ending you can get for the X-Files, or at least the one that's not going to involve the conspiracy. If you take this route, you'll be happy. Because I don't think the other route is going to make you happy. You can have it, but it's probably going to cost you."
I still like Sunshine Days as an absolute finale for the X-Files.
It would have worked fine as a finale. That's the whole point of it, though, isn't it? It's a case of you can have the truth, it will be unsatisfying and it will damage you. Or you can be happy with your loved ones.
Yes, it's a beautiful message for the end of the episode.
Exactly. And less said about the truth is the truth was the truth. So fast forward to season 10. The penultimate episode is
Babylon.
Now, Babylon is interestingly different because Babylon actually is done with a mindset for the future. Because ignore the actual events of the episode, the important part is Einstein and Miller. We've been over this bit.
Yes.
They're here. So there's no confirmation in any of Chris Carter's stuff because we'll get to how he phrased My Struggle 4. But I'm still really certain that the intended resolution for My Struggle 2 was Mulder and Scully are abducted by William, for want of a better word. They can cameo in later on as you need them. Einstein and Miller are going to be our leads going forward. Miller is going to become a devoted UFO chaser because he's just seen a UFO hovering above the car.
Yeah.
Einstein is stuck in hospital. She's going to be the skeptic because she's not going to see anything.
Yeah.
She can explain away alien DNA however she wants to.
Yeah. I don't think I can argue that.
No. So so Babylon makes sense to me for that capacity. And then Nothing Lasts Forever, we have, yes, the Mulder and Scully relationship stuff, fantastic. The gore and the cult, what's going on?
Yeah.
We don't have time for this.
No. And again, I will keep hopping back to, it doesn't feel like an X-Files episode.
No. Well, it feels like a quarter of an X-Files episode because it's like all the stuff in the church is great. That feels like X-Files.
We have had nastier X-Files episodes as well, like Sanguinarium, which I've made the same argument for of I don't watch the X-Files to get my gore fix.
No. Well, I think we're going to get to it. What you watch the X-Files for ultimately is Mulder and Scully, as I think they have realised to their cost way too late on.
Yeah.
But that's more of my struggle thing. But yeah. And I think that's also the weird part of this episode is that Mulder and Scully are kind of just bystanders to the more interesting plot, which is the vampire hunter.
Yeah.
And I did think before we watched it, or midway through, is this a backdoor pilot? And it turns out no.
Yeah.
But it feels like it could be you're trying to launch a, I don't know, more adult Buffy kind of thing?
A series about Juliet.
Yeah. A more adult Buffy with a lot more, it's more mundane than Buffy. There's not going to be any witches or magic in it. It's going to be very much more Blade kind of thing.
Yeah, okay.
Was that, I thought that might have been what the idea was, and I don't think that's it at all, because from the Genesis, it seems like they just threw together what they had.
Yeah.
And I do feel very sorry for Karen Nielsen.
Yes.
She had a lovely idea, and Glenn Morgan decided to blow it up.
Interestingly, and I have actually screen capped the quote I like this time, because, as I've mentioned before, due to the fact that these have less kind of essays written about them and critical reception than my other series that I was reviewing, I've been reading the old watch parties on Reddits for these.
Yeah.
And there was one person 7 years ago on the watch party for this. On Reddit, their username is Freaky Links, because I wanted to actually credit the correct person before I quote him verbatim, or her verbatim. Anyone else get the vibe that this episode was a meta-commentary on the revival itself? The unnatural life extension of something far out of its prime. The Doctor was totally Chris Carter and even kind of looked like him.
Grafting himself to these younger, hotter people to keep himself going.
Yeah.
I like it.
And he went on to say, because I will give the full quote out of fairness.
Okay.
I'm not ragging on it. I loved the episode, especially the final moments. It just seems the writers were taking plenty of opportunities this season to say, yeah, we know, guys. I'm half convinced that all of the This Man posters that were placed there were to give fans an easy out for their own headcanon, considering we can safely assume that Carter is going to botch the landing, it's all a dream.
Oh, if only.
But yeah, that was obviously written during the watch party, so that's before the final episode came out.
I'm quite impressed. Interestingly, that reminds me of a post I saw going around Tumblr like just yesterday.
Oh yeah.
Which is that episode you said you thought was written badly on purpose. It's not written badly on purpose. They never are written badly on purpose.
Okay.
Well, they are, no.
No.
Nothing is written.
Everybody thinks they're writing a good episode.
Yes. And it's never usually to set something up, because the biggest one of that of recent years is still like season 4 of Sherlock, where people were convinced that final episode with his sister was written badly because it was a stealth surprise that there was going to be another episode afterwards.
Yeah, I remember.
And then people got very upset when it turned out there was a completely different series that had nothing to do with Sherlock was put out as an adaptation of Appletree Yard rather than a secret Sherlock episode.
Yeah.
And the candle has now dwindled. People did keep going for a while there was going to be another one, and it's like, no, the series seems to be very dead now. But a lot of people said, why was last season written badly on purpose? And it's like, no, they really think this is good. Euros Holmes they thought that was a good idea, and everyone else was saying, what are you doing? Why did you think this is going to work? Anyway. Do we have much else for this one? Because it's...
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Actually, the thing that fans most latched onto in this episode is what Scully whispers to Mulder.
Oh, yes, this one, which we don't... Well, which Gillian Anderson, I think, has a take on. But she doesn't necessarily know, does she?
I'm going to show you the quote of what Gillian Anderson posted afterwards.
Okay. If you want to read that out, then.
I've saved it. Gillian Anderson tweeted when the episode came out just a static picture of the bit where Scully whispers to Mulder with the caption, "I think I've been impregnated by a blobfish."
So what we're saying is the Unpronounceable episode brought the blobfish into proximity with Scully in order to impregnate her. That really gives me a different impression of Perihelion, doesn't it?
I love the fact that Gillian Anderson just has no Fs to give at this stage.
We'll talk about it in a minute, but I completely sympathise with her now.
But yeah, even I found an article in the Hollywood Reporter where they interviewed the writer,
Okay.
who again did not say what is said between them, but she's heavily inferred the fact that she's a huge Mulder and Scully shipper. So largely the belief is it's either something to do with pregnancy and something to the effect of I want to try again or have another one, or something more fitting to their relationship in the sense of I want to try again.
Okay. We can definitely say it's not the first one there because that doesn't make sense in context with what we're going to see in a minute.
No.
But the rest of them, yeah, they're all plausible.
But I like the blobfish one better, personally.
I'll go for the blobfish one as well. Yeah, I like that one. Yeah, so anything else for this one?
No, I think I'll leave off on the blobfish.
Yeah, it's as you said, it's like you understand why Roland was like that, and you understand why most of the penultimate ones are like that because generally they knew there was another series coming afterwards. You didn't have to worry.
No. And it's a wind down before you have a very lore-heavy episode.
Yeah.
To have, a harmless, flippant Monster of the Week episode, and then we're going to have the heavy stuff you've got to focus on next time.
Exactly. But not when this is your third relaunch of the X-Files after the initial closure. And you just keep apparently saying, let's just keep it going a little bit longer. We might get another season out of it. And it makes you miss people like J. Michael Straczynski, who said, here is my 5-year plan. As much as it went skewy towards the end, at least I got most of the way there and it worked. So, the last episode of the X-Files to date, we're pretty sure there's never going to be any more. Or at least none of this particular version of the X-Files.
Maybe a revival, but not Mulder and Scully times.
Well, it's Mulder maybe. I don't think Duchovny's going to mind going back to it. Gillian Anderson I don't think wants back. She seems to be very clear that she's out. So, My Struggle 4. Directed and written by Chris Carter, and first broadcast on the 21st of March 2018. So, every guest star bar one we saw in My Struggle 3.
Okay.
Or Ghoulie.
Mm-hmm.
So, Cancer Man, William's two girlfriends, who astonishingly are still talking to him. The conspiracy people who see God, that's just such a waste of time. But there's one interesting person. She's not been in anything else we've ever seen, but I have to highlight her because of who she is.
I think I know who we're going with, yeah.
So this is, whichever girlfriend it is, her friend who gives Mulder the lead to go down to the docks.
Yes, the character's called Maddie.
She's called Maddie. She is played by Wes Duchovny. This is indeed Dave Duchovny's daughter.
Yep.
It's a shame she's not been in much, really. Apparently she wasn't very interested in acting and somehow got this part.
Oh, fair enough.
She's fine, I think. I thought she was her sister. I thought she was the younger, annoying sister.
Yes, I've got to admit, I thought it was a sister, but no, it's supposed to be a friend.
Yeah, that's really not clear in the episode. So, for the last time, you want to do it? Do you want to tell us about Mulder's struggle? Because I don't think this is not Scully's struggle.
No. This episode follows on directly from the events of Ghoulie. Following this, William has become a fugitive from the government, due to the fact that he is central to the cigarette-smoking man's plan. His goal is to find the smoking man to learn the truth about who he really is. Mulder and Scully receive a call from Rehus, warning them that William has been taken into custody and is being escorted to Maryland. Scully, struggling with illness and visions of the future by way of her psychic link with William, predicts that he is not going to be there. However, Mulder does not take this chance. He infiltrates the building, but is forced to kill the agents and Mr. Y before he can question them. Like Scully predicted, there is no trace of William there. Meanwhile, Scully identifies a cluster of lottery winners in Tennessee, which she believes is a side effect of William being close to them. Mulder picks up the trail and is followed by a government agent. He quits the FBI in frustration and anticipates that William is heading for Norfolk. Meanwhile, William is picked up by the agent who is following Mulder. With the help of William's two previous girlfriends from the Ghoulie episodes, Sarah and Brianna, as well as Sarah's friend Maddie, Mulder locates where William is headed, at a motel, indeed in Norfolk. He convinces William to talk to him, but as he does so, a unit of soldiers led by Erica Price locate the agent's car. The agent is found in the front seat, having been completely torn to shreds by William. As the sergeants rush the motel room and attempt to arrest William, he turns his powers on them, causing each of them to explode in a shower of blood and guts. He very nearly loses control and kills Mulder, but manages to catch himself and flees the scene. Attempting to buy Mulder some more time, Scully contacts Tad O'Malley and claims that the incident at the hotel was part of a project to release a man-made pathogen developed from an alien virus. O'Malley names Mulder as the source for the story, which immediately prompts Kirsch to shut down the X-Files, dismissing Mulder and Scully from duty. Scully then receives a vision of Mulder's death and pleads with Skinner to help her save him. Mulder manages to corner William in an abandoned factory. Scully then arrives and Mulder suggests that they give up trying to find William. Scully refuses this and presses Mulder for more details when Mulder arrives, revealing that the Mulder that Scully is speaking to is actually William. As Mulder and Scully chase William through the factory, Skinner realises that they have been followed by Reyes and the cigarette-smoking man. Cancer Man forces the car to run Skinner down, but as it does so, Skinner shoots and kills Reyes. He attempts to outrun the car, but finds himself crushed as he dives under another car. The cigarette-smoking man confronts Mulder on the waterfront. Mulder taunts him, prompting the cigarette-smoking man to shoot Mulder in the head, and he falls backwards into the water, mirroring Scully's vision of his death. However, then the real Mulder appears and shoots cigarette-smoking man, who realises at the last that he must have shot William in disguise. Cigarette-smoking man falls into the water, presumably dead, and his body is carried away. In the aftermath, Mulder and Scully confront one another. Scully reveals that William was never their child, but an experiment created by the cigarette-smoking man and implanted into her. Mulder struggles with the knowledge until Scully reveals that she is pregnant with his child, a seeming impossibility given her infertility and age. As the two embrace, William resurfaces from the water further downriver, apparently alive.
Thank you. One really weird detail that differs from the synopsis, I think, is that's not in that order in the episode. It's in a very confusing order.
Oh, yeah, I was going in chronological order there. It's not in chronological order.
But I don't know why it's not.
Because you have that confusing opening sting where it's showing Tad O'Malley's show and Mulder being led out of the motel.
Yeah. But so let's start there, actually. I'd forgotten Tad O'Malley was still around.
Yeah, we've heard him a few times. In fact, he was on the radio at the start of the last episode.
Yes, he was. Which was a weird one. But then, as I pointed out to you, the timeline of the season 10-11 doesn't make any sense anymore. Because in season 10, Scully saw Tad O'Malley with that news report about the alien virus being released, which then caused her to fall into a coma. Because it was that bad reporting. As per my Struggle 3.
Bad journalism does that to you.
It does. And now he's doing the same news story again, like 3 weeks later. It's going to ruin his credibility with this.
Yeah. How much credibility does a right-wing podcaster have to begin with, but...
Well, he's got some credibility given he's, like, stupidly rich for some reason.
Yeah.
It was odd to see Tad O'Malley back again, and also just kind of futile. I don't even know where to start with this one. One thing I said to you today is this is like Neon Genesis Evangelion and End of Evangelion, which I know for a lot of people they haven't seen this, so
you're gonna have to explain. Yeah.
So the series of Evangelion is a anime. It involves giant robots and the children who pilot them. There's an awful lot of weird stuff going on. In addition to that, it's not just a giant robot series. There's a whole lot of psychological stuff going on as well. A lot
of Christian ideography as well.
Yes. Though Japan doesn't... They're not really getting into the meaning of it. They just use it because it looks cool. But it is at least consistent with how some biblical stuff works. So it's not just wallpaper.
Yeah.
There was a bit to it. But infamously, they started running out of money because sponsors started pulling out because they didn't like the direction anything was going, didn't like all the blood, the implied sexuality, and all this kind of stuff that meant that as it got towards the end, the show was ropier and ropier. The same director made a series called His and Her Circumstances, which infamously ran out of money so badly, the last few episodes aren't even animated anymore.
Yeah.
It's quite astonishing to watch those last ones. So this Evangelion never got quite that bad, but it ended with a pair of episodes where the end of the world happens off screen. And we get it from one person's psychological view, and there's a whole lot of lingering plot threads that never went anywhere. End of Evangelion was a redo of the last two episodes some years later, which was done. The big, high budget, the end of the world is happening. oh my god, things are going absolutely crazy. People are being torn apart, blood, guts, gore. People are dying in droves. The end of the world is quite a set piece. As much as you don't like Evangelion, it's eye-catching, isn't it?
There's nothing else that looks like it. No, I will give it that.
It is very, very dramatic, very unusual end of the world.
I still think it's overrated, but...
It's overrated, but...
yeah, it's got a look.
It's got a look. It's not something you forget easily.
No.
So where I'm going with this is, the X-Files has got this the opposite way around. So, like, season 10 ended with a plague, the streets were gridlocked, there was a UFO hovering over the car at the end there.
Choked hospitals with people dying in hallways.
Everything was actually like that. The end of the world was coming and everything was going off. And then season 11 ends with running around a factory for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And there's no one else here. It's just 4 people. One of which can look like anyone and just, he only looks like Mulder. Like, should he be doing more of this? I don't know. It's
Scruffy, the janitor.
yeah. But it's, I know we keep saying, and I think it goes back to Chris Carter wants another series, but it's this is your ending. End big. Don't end with this factory chase.
There are some quotes from Chris Carter after this episode came out as well that should probably be noted, which gives his attitude towards it. There are 2 that I keep seeing bounce around. One is the explanation for why there are 4 episodes called My Struggle.
And I think I read that one, and my first thought was, you're really trying to justify this after the fact because you were told you had to change things after 2.
The other is his feelings towards this being the end of the series. So which do you want first?
Good at doing in order.
Okay. So the explanation about the 4-part myth arc is there really are 4 quarters of a whole, and I think that maybe through some people at the beginning of last season, and even at the end of last season, but I think that you see, as you have seen, that they were puzzle pieces, 4 puzzle pieces to a circle. I wanted to tell Mulder's story, Mulder's struggle. I wanted to tell Scully's struggle. I wanted to tell the cigarette-smoking man's struggle, and I wanted to tell William's struggle. For me, the 4 characters who are central to the mythology.
My Struggle 3 is not Cancerman's struggle.
No.
I get the rest of them, sure, just about, that fits. But the third one is not Cancerman's.
No.
And the second part then?
When asked about the possibility of a 12th season, Carter said, there are still more files to be uncovered in those drawers in Mulder's office. The truth is always out there, and it's open to being explored. And then, in the same article, he went on to state that he is satisfied with this episode being the series finale.
Chris, you don't have to settle for this. You could go with a bang. He's kind of glossing over the fact that we burned down the office at least twice, and the files have been, raised.
Yeah.
And the other thing that occurred to me, and it's kind of unfair, but at the same time it's kind of inescapable, is I think Chris Carter feels that the X-Files is an interesting enough concept on its own.
Without Mulder and Scully.
Without Mulder and Scully. And you can kind of see it because it had to be greenlit, because no one went into the series at first to watch Mulder and Scully because you had no idea who they were. The concept itself had to sell the series.
Yeah.
So I get that. But however many years later we are now, is people aren't going to watch the X-Files just because it's called the X-Files. They're going to watch the X-Files because it stars Mulder and Scully.
We've seen time and time again that that's the thing the fans are invested in, are Mulder and Scully's relationship. Just how excited they get every time they kiss.
Yeah. And it's like the constant teasing that Mulder was going to come back in season 9. People were invested because he might come back.
Yeah.
And I was thought then, my thought process then went to, of all things, the Avengers. Not the American one, the UK Avengers.
Oh, with Emma Peel.
And John Steed.
Yeah.
And we mentioned that this came up right at the very start because this is one of the inspirations behind the X-Files. And one thing about it is people did watch all the Avengers. And while there was the Avengers films, which didn't do very well, enough said, you've seen that. It's a frankly surreal experience. One of the weird things about the Avengers is John Steed is consistent through the whole thing.
Yes.
So kind of akin to Scully in the X-Files. And then but his relationship with the co-lead changes every time, because I can't remember who the initial ones were, but the Golden Age is the Emma Peel age.
Yes.
Everyone remembers that one. And there's a lot of sexual dynamics between them. There's a lot of will they weren't there. There's definitely they almost get to it before Emma Peel's husband shows up.
Yeah.
And the whole thing is ruined. And but that's how the Avengers done going after Emma Peel left, was you just got a new assistant.
A bit like Doctor Who.
A bit like Doctor Who. And then Doctor Who also has different mechanisms for doing it as well.
Doctor Who's always had different relationships with his companions as well, because they have ranged from family members to friends to people he has sexual tension with.
Yeah. And I think one of the important things, though, is like James Bond as well, though, with the ability to recast them, is that the character of James Bond, the character of the Doctor, doesn't matter a hell of a lot to the series, or didn't used to. Because it was, again, it's an anthology thing. You're seeing the Doctor in a new setting, and it's mostly about the new characters that come in and how he deals with those. He and she are not the most interesting thing in Doctor Who, or aren't meant to be. Because you're meant to kind of watch it for the new setting and the new characters that come in. The newer Doctor Who's have thrown this out the window a bit.
Yeah.
So I can see that. I think Chris Carter still thinks the X-Files can work like that, and I think fandom are very clear that they don't want it. Because I think this is like why My Struggle 2 was trying to set up Einstein and Miller, and someone somewhere said, "You're not gonna do that. We're not."
We saw it once before with, it's not necessarily negative, but Reyes in particular, how against Reyes a large proportion of the fan base are.
Yes, and I think a lot of that's because the writers couldn't figure out what to do with her. They struggled with Scully as well, but they found Scully. They sort of found a level playing field as much when they weren't trying to force her into episodes she wasn't meant to be in.
Yeah,
they had her down fine because they're used to her. Reyes, no one seemed to have any idea what to do with, and I think that's kind of like why season 8 worked then, because you kept one cast member and changed the other one. Had season 9 actually switched out Scully entirely, I think it would have crashed about halfway through. I don't think it would have got to the end.
no.
Or you'd have had the truth come a lot sooner.
It was interesting reading back the Reddit watch party for My Struggle Part 4 as well, because I've said before, the fans aren't always the fairest critics of the X-Files because they want to see the best in it.
Yeah.
This is the most negative I have ever seen them being. In that watch party on Reddit, there was so little good things said about this episode. Essentially because they all had their list of things that they wanted this episode to tick, including things like, a passionate kiss between the two of them that's in full light. There were really basic things on this list that would have been easy to achieve.
You can do cheap fan service at this last stage.
What they were not looking for is beloved characters like Skinner potentially being killed off very abruptly for no reason.
Yeah.
And the pregnancy plot. I was surprised how down people were on that. But the argument as I saw it, and I think they made a really good point, is I saw a lot of people talking about the fact that Scully immediately beforehand basically dismisses William after, yearning for him for, basically 3 seasons.
Yeah.
And her heartfelt decision to give him up. She has this conversation with Mulder where she basically says, he wasn't our son anyway. By the way, we're having our real child now. Yeah. And just that callousness turned off so many fans.
I think that's fair. For me personally, it's a case of, oh my god, not again. Please stop doing this.
I've talked about how I feel about reducing a strong female character to a baby maker.
Yeah.
It's that idea that essentially every woman just wants motherhood and that's it.
Yeah.
That's the end goal for all women.
There's nothing else in your life.
So this is Scully's 3rd shot at it because her last 2 ended wonderfully.
Yeah. Emily still is a weird asterisk, I think, because she really didn't give birth to her. That whole Emily was very strange situation.
She didn't physically give birth to her.
But it was her daughter, yes.
Yeah. And you've got the psychological impact of that, of meeting your daughter for her to die in a relative short time after that.
And then for her body to be stolen and everything else. I mean, we could have just brought Emily back. She didn't have to be dead.
But nobody stays dead for long in the X-Files. There was even an article I read, though I stupidly didn't bookmark this one, with Chris Carter, where he indicated that he deliberately didn't verify any of the deaths on camera in this episode. So, to allow him to bring back, say, Cancer Man or Reyes or Skinner next time, even though they all look pretty toast.
Well, we'll talk about Perihelion because that answers some of those. One person I would be astonished if you could bring her back, because I don't think Reyes can recover from that one.
People have survived head trauma in the past, but yeah, she is shot in the head.
She looks a lot more dead. I mean, even Cancerman being shot was very ambiguous exactly where he was shot, though he did survive a missile strike, so who knows anymore.
You did also kind of see him floating away. It's not like he sank out of sight or anything like that.
Yeah. And I think we have to talk about Cancerman. I think the real bugbear of this is it's hard not to contrast this to My Struggle 2 again. Because My Struggle 2 is I don't have to do anything. I set things off years ago. This is the Watchmen thing of, oh, you think I'm like some 50s Saturday morning cartoon character? I did it half an hour before you got here.
Yeah, that is the neat thing about the villain in The Watchmen is he exposits his entire plan and the heroes think they can stop him, but he's only expositing it because he's already done it.
Yeah. And that was the impression that Cancerman gave you in My Struggle 2.
Yeah.
I don't have to do anything, it's already going.
Yeah.
And then we know that My Struggle 3 had to retcon a lot of stuff out. And then it's the whole, he needs William. But no one ever stops and says, why? What are you going to do with it? Oh, William's the key. And in the previous X-Files episodes, and especially the conspiracy stuff, you could say this because it was keeping things going.
I think in the old days, William would have been the key because the early seasons, going back to like Colony and things like that, we were trying to make a perfect alien-human hybrid that would be immune to purity.
Yeah. Which
you have now made. That's what William is.
But then we also had the vaccine, so I don't understand why we needed them in the first. We don't need them anymore because the vaccine now works. That's possibly why that was retired.
Yeah.
So, and it's that you can in the older seasons, yeah, you could imply this or do what you want with it. But now we're at the end. You have to tell us what he needed him for because they don't. I don't know what he needed him for.
I'm also gonna compound my issues with Jackson or William. We've been calling him William. Back in Ghoulie, I complained that he's too villainous.
Yeah.
You know, the fact that he literally did totes try to kill his two girlfriends who are totally okay with that.
Yep. Well, he has broken up with one now. I'd forgotten that.
And the faking his own death but not trying to protect his parents and every slightly villainous thing he's done. He totes explodes a room full of people with his mind in this one. You know, this is like Akira moments.
Yes. Well, I'd say worse than that is that guy in the car who was disemboweled for some reason.
Oh, I think he was exploded, actually. The top half of his body's missing.
Yeah, but it's like, that's not how the hotel room people went.
Oh, no, they pop like blood balloons because, you know, people are just
gore.
Bags of gore, apparently. But, you know, this is any movie which has shown a experiment breaking out of a psychological facility. This is Elvenlade. This is Akira.
The previous version of Fantastic Four.
Yes. Literally any sequence like that. And it doesn't paint a character in a good light, even in Elfenlade, where they've totally got it coming.
Yes.
She's still not portrayed to be the good guy.
No.
Like, William was supposed to totally buy that he's the good guy here who can explode people with his mind.
Yeah. And also the whole sort of, you can make yourself look like anyone, and yet people can track you down.
Really easily.
Yeah, I mean, I don't get the lottery thing. The lottery thing was very strange to me.
It's more, we saw that once before, didn't we? It was Goldberg variation, where the guy had luck powers.
Yeah, and that made sense because he was using his power of luck to get the lottery ticket, found out that the money would be accrued too slowly, so he gave it up.
Yeah.
That made sense. This one, it's just Scully's tracking lotto winners, and it's that there's just peaks of them in these certain areas. It's like, is William just inducing luck? Does he do that? Did he do that before? What is this? Because he's psychic, sure, but the person behind the counter doesn't dictate lotto numbers.
No, I've no idea. This is like a scratch card lottery, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like, what's going on? Okay.
So he's got X-ray vision?
So being charitable then, think about it. Okay, he can make it look like they've got the winning lotto ticket.
Okay, yeah. Like a glamourer, like we said before.
Yeah. But the woman Mulder talks to doesn't say, we gave him the prize and then looked at the ticket later and discovered it wasn't the winning one. He seems to have actually got the winning ticket, doesn't he?
I'm thinking of it like those kind of... Is it Japanese mythology with the tanuki that can turn leaves into things?
Yeah, it's kind of like that.
So we look later and the till was just full of leaves. You know, that's that kind of logic.
But that's not what she says. That if that was the case, I'd expect her to say something and say that bastard robbed us or something. Mm. But no, that's not it either. So I don't get it.
Maybe he's got my superpower.
Maybe he does, the power of small luck.
Small luck's a really great superpower. It served me well.
True. I don't get, though, why he decides to terrify the truck driver.
There's no indication the truck driver did anything to him.
No, he just sort of sulking to him, and he's like just having a general conversation. He says, "Oh, and he looks like this," and it's like the bit from Pee-wee's Big Adventure with Large Marge.
Yeah.
It's just like, is that meant to be a reference? Because I don't know why you'd put that in there.
So weird.
It's really odd. And then he gets picked up by the guys pursuing him, who just lets himself die, apparently.
This kid can explode people with his mind.
I know. But why? But no, but I think we'll go back to that alien-human hybrid thing again. It's like, could the other ones do this?
We know they could shapeshift.
We knew they could shapeshift, yeah.
William can do as well, kinda.
What? I think that's one of the problems, is that William's powers and the shapeshifters are completely different, because the shapeshifters physically changed appearance.
Whereas William, it's like a glamour, or like he's... It doesn't work on televisions, does it?
No.
So it's like he's manipulating your mind to see him as something else.
Again, when you put it back, it's Pusher. He has Pusher's abilities.
Yeah, he's got the push.
Yeah.
Cerulean's a cooling breeze.
Or, I mean, you could... Spitballing here, you could have actually done something very weird here at the end and connect a whole lot of Monster Beast things together. So he's part Pusher, he's part Goldberg variation. I can't think of anyone who can telekinetically explode people, so we're just going to have to take that one on as read.
Interestingly, if we put a pin on that, that's something that we can develop next week when we talk about Perihelion.
Yes.
That does kind of feed into Perihelion's plot and what she's trying to do.
Yeah. But it strikes me that the Lotro wins and the shapeshifting, the not actual shapeshifting, have roots elsewhere. And you could have connected the Monster Beat together. I don't know why I'd want to do that, but it's something.
Yeah.
It's nice to see Kirsch.
It's always nice to see Kirsch.
It's always nice to see Kirsch. I'm really sick of that plot point, though. I'm really annoyed with Mulder. I'm closing the X-Files down.
Must be Tuesday.
Must be Tuesday. Oh my god. Can we not finish seasons with this as a cliffhanger again? How many times has this happened now? So, season 1, season 5.
I thought it was kind of interesting this time, though, that Scully's deliberately orchestrated this to force him to shut the X-Files down.
Yeah.
In a slight twist, because I don't think Mulder or Scully have ever tried to shut down the X-Files themselves before.
No, it's always been the vital, it must go on because otherwise the world will suffer.
Truth.
For reasons that we don't really get into, and we keep forgetting that Mulder's in Kolchak. I'm not going to let go of that one.
So bitter.
Well, I've never actually seen Kolchak, but again, my whole point was Kolchak could write newspaper stories and get the truth out to the general public that way. Mulder is very constrained. Like, literally being placed as a source on Ted O'Malley's show has got him fired.
Well, you've brought up Watchmen once already. It's like Rorschach's journal.
Yeah.
He can write this down, he can deliver it to the correct people. You don't know if it's going to make a difference.
Yes, and the Watchmen TV series postulates that kinda.
Okay.
Because it's very much, they published it, not everyone believed it, as would be the case.
Yeah,
so
that's about what I would expect from the best outcome that could have.
So there was one of the factions in the Watchmen TV series is there's a load of adherents to what Rorschach said. A load of other people are just kind of blasé about it. So yeah, and that all fits together very nicely and it makes sense. The Watchmen TV series is actually strangely good. It shouldn't be, but it was.
I should really watch that.
Yeah.
I think the comic book's a masterpiece. And I would recommend that to anyone who wants to get into Western comics and likes things that are quite dark.
Just don't look at the prequel stuff and whatever else they've done with it. Just the Alan Moore book.
I will put a tag on it that it's adult as well.
Yes.
It does contain a lot of violence and sexual assault and things like that. But it's really, really good.
It's deliberately written and it knows what it's doing, and it's just not so much stuff in it. It's like a lot more complicated than you'd ever give it credit for on first glance.
Yeah.
Getting back to the X-Files, which I think is less interesting than result. Okay, what's going on with Reyes?
I don't even know anymore.
Because
whose side's she on now?
I don't know. Because I think it's that when you retconned out My Struggle 2, there was an excellent chance to just take her out of proceedings, just say, that was a mistake, we're going to leave her good name. Scully just imagined this encounter with Reyes in the park, and that's it.
You could even throw in a cute little reference about how she's married Doggett and left the FBI, or anything you want to, like that.
She didn't have to be the guy who hangs around with Cancer Man for absolutely no reason other than we've run out of other people and Diana Fowley apparently said no.
Yeah.
Is still the only reason I can think of why she's here. So, and she was kind of pointless in My Struggle 3, and here she switches sides at least twice in really quick succession.
There's the bit where she sends the false lead to Mulder, which seems to be her acting as an envoy of the Cancer Man.
Yeah.
To throw him off William's trail. But then there's the bit where she doesn't actively try to kill Skinner. Cancer Man kind of forces it.
Well, did she also call Scully and gives her a lead? A completely different lead.
Which one was that? I don't recall.
I can't remember what it is, but there's one where he's smoking outside and she just does a quick phone call to Scully, and then he asks her what it is, and it's like, oh, still got no trace of William. So she actively lies to him about what she's just said.
Yeah.
I do wonder if the first lead was to kill Mr. Y.
Could be.
Although I don't know why Mulder did that one.
Mulder's murdered a lot of people this season.
And with impunity again, and it's... I don't even know what to say about Reyes anymore, other than she's dead, and I think that's a real waste, even though Reyes, no one ever got to grips with Reyes.
I'm kind of grateful they've killed her off, to be honest, because if they did get a season 13...
12.
Season 12, sorry. That's it now. She's gone. We can't hurt her any further.
That's true. Nothing else to do. And John Doggett refuses to come back. Good on you, man. The new conspiracy, though. Why did we bother with these two? They're so worthless.
Especially when we're still just focusing on the Cancer Man.
Yeah, and it's like... I mean, they tried to do Erica Price a bit with this, and then she just... That episode kind of tailed off, and I don't think anything came of that. Other than people thinking this is all in a simulation now. Which, I think this isn't a great ending for that either. But Mr. Y is, oh yes, I'm the new head of the conspiracy, and I have all these armed guards, and you've just killed me. I don't know where William is, and then I
and then the other lady gets exploded by William a bit later,
Erica
and that's
Price,
our
yeah.
conspiracy gone.
Yeah, it's a great thing to say, oh yeah, with the last vestiges of the Syndicate, and it's like, all two of you. That's some good going we got there.
Again, put a pin in that for Perihelion.
Yeah, I do wonder about... Well, we'll talk about more Perihelion. There's a parallel to be made to Star Wars there of just, you have an expansive universe where technically you can do anything. Somehow you keep coming back to the same things over and over again, and you can never escape them. Like the conspiracy. I think it's more for the wrap-up, but I think we kept saying through all this stuff is, killing the Syndicate was the stupidest plan they ever had for the conspiracy.
Yeah.
I know they didn't want to do them anymore, and I know they were struggling to just keep everything perpetually going, but killing them did not help you.
No.
It just made everything worse.
It created a void, and we've struggled to fill it again.
Yes, because like the super soldier, because we don't even talk about super soldiers now.
Nobody talks about them anymore.
Even though William is a super soldier by the strict definitions of how season 9 was working.
I think they did their best in the season 10 comic to wrap up the super soldier plot, but that's the only time we've tried to touch it beyond.
Yeah, and the revival series has just ignored them.
Yeah.
What even happens in this episode? Because a lot of it's just running around and chases.
It's all very rushed.
I do remember actually at the time, because I read the reviews for this before we watched it, and people were, I don't know if it's on the Reddit thread, but the one reviews I read, I think it was the Mary Sue, was livid with how Scully was treated. Just because she spends 3/4 of this episode sat at home waiting for people to call her with bad news.
Yeah.
Or calling Tad O'Malley and saying, the world's about to end. And it transparently does not.
She is like a call girl for this entire thing.
And she gets
a telephone operator.
Yeah, and she gets no blowback for that thing to Tad O'Malley. Because you'd think someone would sort of say, you said that the end of the world was on the line here, and nothing happened.
That people were spreading a deadly virus from a motel.
Yeah, and Ted O'Malley should have lost all credibility at that point in time. I don't know how he had credibility when you talk about chemtrails anyway.
True. But well, we can talk about what they've done to Scully since about season 7.
Yes.
Till the cat has come home. I'll keep bringing up my feminist argument here as we've got a strong female character. She doesn't have children. That's all we can think of. The only thing that would make her life complete.
Yeah.
So she's then put in this perpetual loop of motherhood. Something bad happens to the kid. Oh no. Motherhood again. Something bad happens to the kid. Oh no. And that's Scully's arc now.
Yeah. Well, I was just as you were saying that, I was thinking, if you're going to insist on the motherhood thing, with this episode, why can't they lean into it? So Scully is the one going to all these leads and trying to find William, and Mulder is the one sat at home.
Well, especially as from Ghoulie onwards, we've gone down the angle of Scully and William are communicating on some kind of psychic level.
Yeah.
Scully is the more obvious one to be able to track him down.
Yeah. And not Mulder, who is, I don't even understand how he's doing it.
Working on a hunch.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think there has to be some conversation about Cancerman and Mulder. And it's the only time these two have interacted twice in these 2 seasons.
Yeah.
Once has been retconned out, great. The other one is he shoots Cancerman for the flimsiest reasons I've ever seen.
To be fair, he's had it coming a while.
He has. I don't know why you'd think it would work when you saw him blown up in the end of season 9.
It's even before Mulder knows about the medical rape as well, so you can't even say it's a crime of passion.
No, it's just, he just shoots him. It's I get he's your main villain of the piece, but he used to have more to him.
Yeah.
And usually he'd have something clever to say or imply he had the upper hand and not look perpetually panicked as he does in this one. And also backup. Cancerman rarely did anything where he couldn't snap his fingers and armed soldiers would burst in from hitting places and things.
Cancerman also historically had the confidence that Mulder wouldn't kill him. Like that really early season where Mulder essentially burst into his hotel room and had him at gunpoint.
One breath, that's
it. Where Cancerman is just cool as a cucumber through this entire thing because he knows Mulder will not hurt him.
And so you've made me realise that we've just lost most of his characterization along the way as well, though, because it's initially he's the superior person who knows everything and has complete control of situations, like One Breath. And then you had a bit on from that, you had things like Piper Maru, where he screwed up his operative, like Krychek or,
Hispanic Man,
have run away with the tape. I think it was actually just Krychek who ran away with the tape. And he's lying to the rest of the syndicate. And you can see that a lot of his certainty is an act. And if you push him too far, he will start, becoming sloppy.
But also, you realise he's not at the top of the pile.
No.
Because that necessitates his need to lie to the syndicate, is they will kill him if he screws up too badly.
Exactly. He gives the impression of being the Emperor, basically. And he's basically Darth Vader.
Would you argue that he's the Emperor of Ice Cream on that basis? But it's the concept of the Emperor of Ice Cream is there is no god other than the god of useless things.
Ah, okay.
So technically speaking, he is an Emperor of Ice Cream.
Okay, I'll go for that. Yeah, I can agree with that one. But that was interesting. And again, it's the killing the rest of the syndicate has meant that he's become top of the pile. And I think they've forgotten that he wasn't the head. And that because he shouldn't be able to do what My Struggle 2 and 3 implied about his positioning and how he's controlling everything. He was the information guy, was what they made. The syndicate said at one point, is like, he's information control. He's making sure people don't know all the lies are intact and everything. He's not pulling the strings. Because First Elder, as much as it's a fan name, he's called First Elder for a reason.
Yeah.
He's the one, as far as we know, who is in charge.
He's the most senior person we've seen, anyway.
Yeah. Because again, I think in Star Wars terms, Secret Service Command is Darth Vader. He's the popular one, sure, he's the figurehead guy. He's not actually in charge.
He's the guy who gets things done.
Yeah. Like, the equivalent is Razor Lost Ark with the Nazi operative guy in black.
Oh, the one with the glasses and the scar?
Yeah.
And not Belloc.
It's one of these things where, it's... A lot of fictional stuff does this. And it's like, even, let's go out on a limb to fancy stuff, Lord of the Rings. Everyone remembers Sauron. Sauron is the henchman of Morgoth, who is the true evil of that universe.
Balrog of Morgoth.
What did you say? It's a well-established thing in fiction, because you can't defeat the big bad, you can defeat the low-key guy. I don't know what there's to say about My Struggle 4, because I think some of it is just going to shift to the wrap-up episode of why this is a terrible ending. I think that Evangelion comparison is my big one of, I don't understand how you can produce My Struggle 2 and then produce My Struggle 4 and think, yeah, this one's the ending and My Struggle 2 is the end of the world. Stuff was happening. It was dramatic. It was big. It was really bad and stupid, but it was big. And this is 4 people running around an abandoned factory by the water.
Yeah, you can't get past that.
You can't.
I can't think of a counter argument.
No, it's like, why is it so low key?
And as I said, even fans of the X-Files who have stuck by this and argued in favour of things I would never argue in favour of cannot defend this.
No, it's just so dissatisfying. And I know I've been like really overly critical of the X-Files episodes, and I've been really trying to sort of see the positives, more positives. I mean, I think I've been better of late. Yeah, no,
you have, yeah. I think you've tried.
I've tried. And it's just, this one is just, I mean, I hate William at the best of times. It doesn't help. But this one is like, what even is there?
Scully being impregnated by a blobfish.
Well, yeah, I'll take that one. That's probably the best thing I can come out with it. But I think I'm going to also sort of end on it's that the X-Files being closed. It's the same plot point again. We're just stuck forever in the X-Files are being closed. Oh no. And just foreshadowing to Perihelion, can you guess what one of the first plot points of Perihelion is? Go on, guess. You'll never guess in a million years what happens in Perihelion. You've read it already, don't give me that look.
I guess we'll talk about that next time.
We will, but you know what I mean here.
Yes, I do.
I suppose we didn't talk about Skinner much.
Poor Skin Man.
Poor Skin Man. It's, we could say it's like Reyes. It's like, if he's been killed off, at least nothing can happen to him.
Yeah. I think Skinner's death is the more ambiguous one because, as Chris Carter pointed out, you don't actually see him die. You've got to assume that he wouldn't get out of it unscathed because he is kind of crushed between 2 cars.
Yeah, well, we also had the same mutual forgetting how it worked, because we both remembered him being rammed into a wall, and he's not.
Yeah, well, that's the Mengele effect for you.
That's true. Do we have much else for this one?
Nah, I think we should call it.
No, I think we should call it. So next week, as you might have picked up, we're going to discuss the last official item in the X-Files universe to date, because this was last year this came out?
Yes, it was.
Perihelion by Claudia Gray. If you'd like to get hold of us in the last waning days you can, at least for this version of the podcast. The future, we've got some ideas. I'm not sure where we're going yet, but we'll get the X-Files done and dusted first. If you'd like to get hold of us, our email address is thingsargettingstrange42@gmail.com.
You can also find us on social media, and please do hook me up if you would like me to promote anything X-Files related at the start of the show. We are on Twitter and Tumblr at GetStrange42, on Mastodon at GetStrange42@universedon.com, and on Facebook, where you can find us by searching for Things Are Getting Strange and X-Files Rewatch Podcast. Additionally, if you're not sick of my voice right now, I also stream live on Twitch TV under the name AdverseCamber42. I'm live Mondays and Wednesdays at 8 PM GMT and Saturdays at 5 PM GMT, where I'm currently playing Yakuza 0 and Kingdom Hearts, both on PlayStation 4.
Kingdom Hearts with an equivalently strange continuity as the X-Files, I suspect. Possibly worse, actually. Our theme music is Vision by Kevin MacLeod. You can find it on Computech.com, licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 3.0. Thank you all for listening, and until next time, please remember...
Salvator Mundi!